Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast, and we've got a jam-packed video today with the latest Big 12 realignment news and rumors pertaining to those Wildcats out in Arizona. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and like the video. If you want more Big 12 videos here on the channel during the football season, we'll have a weekly video on Friday giving you the best bets of the weekend for the Big 12 and who I think is going to do good in terms of, hey, maybe they're going to cover the spread, maybe go with some player props as well, as I do work in the sports betting industry as well. So want to give you some tips on that front. If you're looking forward to that and really just college football in general, Big 12 specifically, be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay in the know right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel. All right, let's jump into the latest news and rumors surrounding Big 12 realignment, and it all is fixated on that school out in Tucson. Yes, the Arizona Wildcats. And I want to say this before we get too far into it. If you have not followed Jason Scheer yet on Twitter or social media, gone to his website, Wildcat Authority, you need to do so. This guy has done a tremendous job. He is my go-to source in terms of going and looking at the latest information when it pertains to the Wildcats and their potential move to the Big 12. So we're going to look at an article that he posted over the weekend with a ton of great information and quotes that stood out to me, starting with this. All right, Arizona is known to be up next. There are conversations with the Big 12 that have already been had, and we expect those to pick up significantly. Colorado was much further down the line than any school involved in the process, but Arizona is second. The Wildcats know the pitch from the Big 12 and have gone about the process the right way. Listen, when it comes down to it, I think everybody knew from the jump that with this whole realignment stuff going on right now with the Big 12 and really the second wave of it right after the four of, BYU, Cincinnati, UCF, and Houston who are joining the Big 12 this year, that there was going to be a second wave, right? Was it going to be out west? Was it going to be east with the UConns and other schools on the East Coast, right? No, instead you go get Colorado. And now it's the four-corner aspect of it. And it always felt like two of those four-corner schools were going to follow. Utah always felt like the distant one where they had already come out and said hey, we don't really want to do this in terms of certain aspects of the deal. And then Arizona State felt like they were connected to Arizona while Colorado was doing its own thing, right? So Colorado was always in the forefront in terms of being the most realistic to move first, right? Arizona always felt second. And Jason confirmed that with this quote right here. And I think that everybody would agree with that. And we'll talk about it a little bit more later. But all eyes and almost all the pressure now is on the Arizona Wildcats in the sense of this. They have the perfect opportunity to be that 14th team that Brett Yarmark has said. That's the number we want to get to for the 2024 season. Obviously want to be an even number, right? But does somebody jump the line, right? Just like the Big 12 did in media rights, does somebody jump the line? Does another school jump the line potentially and get that coveted 14th spot in the Big 12 for next season to force Arizona to wait? It's going to be very interesting. But before we get into a little bit more of Scheer's comments and quotes, I want to ask you a question. Do you want Arizona to join the Big 12? Just a simple Y for yes, in for no. And if you say no, tell me the team you want to be that 14th team, because I think there's some I think everybody's on the same page in terms of it's going to be a Pac-12 school, but I think there's been some dividing divisiveness, I guess I should say, within Big 12 Twitter in terms of who I guess fan bases want to be that 14th team, even though I feel like Arizona is the most likely one. All right, let's jump into some more of Scheer's comments. He went on to say this in the article: the Wildcats never wanted to be the first to go, and Colorado got that out of the way. Robbins, the president of Arizona, will now ask for numbers like he has in the past, and they won't be presented from the Pac-12. Eventually, the Big 12 will push a little bit, and when that happens, Arizona is likely to go. Listen, this makes a ton of sense. Again, they don't want to be the one that comes out and almost puts that final nail in the coffin of the Big 12 or the Pac-12, that I've mentioned in previous videos, right? Colorado was fine with it. They didn't care. They wanted to make sure that their athletic department was secure financially in a conference that they knew the future of, right? But Robbins has been vocal in terms of, hey, I want to see what is going on with this. I want the Pac-12 commissioner to bring forward some numbers here so I can see what we're dealing with. And they simply haven't done that. And the reason being is this: they aren't going to get a media rights deal that competes with the Big 12. Simple and plain. And so now Arizona has almost forced their way back into a corner where they have to decide what to do: be patient and see the numbers, or make a quick exit, almost like Colorado did. And if they're being smart, in my opinion, you make that quick exit and run, because you know what is going to be there in terms of the money involved and in place. You're taking a gigantic risk in staying and hoping, and that's all it is right now, is a hope and a prayer for the Pac-12. I guess it's the Pac-9 now, to survive in any kind of way that we know in the Power 5 level, right? You're hoping and praying. If I was Arizona, and again, there's probably some Big 12 bias involved here, I'm taking the money and running that Brett Yormark in the Big 12 conference is offering in the media rights deal. Take it and run. It makes too much sense for you. But he went on to say this too: as of now, forget the deadlines. These things never move as fast as people think, and it's not as easy as picking up the phone and announcing a few minutes later. This could take some time to play out, and there are other schools waiting in the Big 12 now. This doesn't change the fact that it's Arizona's decision to make first, and one that is becoming all too obvious, right? Like I just said. I'm going to say this, though. I talked about a little bit earlier, right? These things do take some time, but I also would not be surprised if it happens this week, right? But I also wouldn't be surprised if this is announced during the season. Like, these things do fluctuate, right? Like the Colorado thing, it felt like it happened almost overnight, even though it was being worked upon, you know, in the shadows almost in a way, with a couple of whispers here and there on social media about it happening, right? Arizona's in the forefront. Like, we know this is going to happen in the sense of, like, it should, right? Like, if Arizona's smart, they take this deal, right? But I do wonder if they sit back a little too long and don't make this move in a timely manner. Is there another school that jumps into that 14th spot and just takes it away from them and pulls the rug, right? Like, is that possible? Like, maybe Oregon doesn't hear what they want to hear from the Big Ten, and it's like, hey, we're going to get our money and run here, and we're going to take that 14th spot. And let's face it, Oregon has more value than Arizona to the Big 12. It's just, are they so far along in the process, Arizona, that Oregon really can't come in and take that spot now? I don't think that's the case, but I do wonder if this takes a little bit more time. Does a team sneak in, almost like the Big 12 did with that media rights deal, where they jumped the line a little bit and they secured their spot to make sure that their conference isn't in the same situation that the Pac-9 is in now, where it's left for dead almost in a way, and no one's really questioning its legitimacy, because right now in the Power 5 sense, they don't really have a lot of it. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there on that forefront. But I do want to talk about this one last thing before we get out of here. The Florida State leaving the ACC rumors. There's been quite a bit of buzz about this. And again, this is all rumors right now, but I did want to put it out in today's video because it picked up a little bit of steam over the weekend. I have this down: the Seminoles are fed up and think they should be getting more of the pie. They think they should be getting more of that. And things are heating up about them leaving the potential ACC and going to the Big 10, SEC, or maybe the Big 12. Money has a lot to do with this, right? And if I'm being honest, I think Florida State leaving, it's probably going to be for the SEC or Big 10. But there is a spot available in the Big 12, and maybe they take that last spot. I know Brett Yormark is not going to say no to Florida State joining the Big 12. He's just not, right? But the date to know is this. August 15th is the date to know for Florida State, for this simple purpose. It is the deadline to let the ACC know if they are leaving the conference next season. Okay, so they have to let them know by then. So really interesting stuff down in Tallahassee. I don't think it really pertains to the Big 12 too much, other than maybe the other pieces in the ACC. If there's a domino effect in the conference, maybe the Big 12 goes out there and tries to get, I don't know, North Carolina, Duke, whatever it may be, those big basketball-rich schools, to really boost up and make you the best basketball conference in America. Simple and plain, right? So it'll be interesting to follow, but the big news right now It's a waiting game for Arizona. This could happen as soon as, I think, Tuesday of this week, August 1st, or we could be looking at a little bit of a timeline here. And does another team leapfrog Arizona and take that final spot? It's going to be very, very interesting to see. I'm RC Maxfield reminding you to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and like the video if you want more Big 12 realignment updates here on the channel. We'll also discuss Big 12 football betting every Friday here on the channel. I'll have a video of the best bets, I think, for the Big 12 that specific week. We will talk a lot of Texas Tech football here on this channel, but we'll also have a lot of Big 12 content as well. So be sure to join one of the most interactive Big 12 channels here on YouTube and be a part of the Big 12 squad by simply hitting that subscribe button and stay in the know on the Big 12 right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel.